and good afternoon. Today I'm excited. We have somebody here that's very special. This is Tabitha. Um, she is a therapist that we highly recommend in Call to Peace Ministries that understands domestic abuse and course of control very well. So I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself to you.
Hey there, I am Tabitha, and I am, as Lauren said, a licensed therapist. And I have a group practice in Wake Forest, North Carolina, where we have 5 clinicians, all of whom are trained in working with domestic abuse and coercive control and trained in trauma modalities like EMDR and brain spotting. One of our therapists sees kiddos as young as 5, and the rest of our therapists see teenager through adult. And we have a couple of interns as well that work with us. So that is what we do. And I'm really excited to be here and talking with Lauren today and talking about the retreat and all of the cool stuff that we're going to cover while we're together.
Yes, I am so excited. And then while everybody's coming, if you just want to say hello in the comments, let us know where you're commenting from. Maybe something fun you're going to do today. Tabitha and I are just talking. It's going to snow where she's at in Arkansas.
It is. I am in Arkansas today, and it is going to snow on me later.
It's just raining here. It's raining on our parade, literally, our big St. Patrick's parade. So I don't know what I'll end up doing because it's raining. But yes, comments below, maybe where you're from, and maybe if you have something special planned today that you're doing, a hike or going outside or walking your dog or whatever is your highlight this afternoon. Maybe you're having beautiful weather. And so we're excited because Tabitha is coming to our retreat. She was invited last year and sadly couldn't come because of COVID. So I'm so excited.
Because I got COVID.
Yes. I didn't know if I was allowed to say that or not.
You're totally allowed to say that. That is totally what happened.
Okay. Yes. So I am so glad that she's able to come with us this year and y'all get to meet her. It's going to be great. She's doing several breakout sessions and some other panels. So there's going to be several opportunities to learn from her. And she's amazing. She's somebody that gets the ins and outs of domestic abuse and gets trauma and how it affects your brain. And coping, how do you develop healthy coping skills and be able to move forward so that you can move forward to a healthy, mentally healthy, and a happy life. We know nothing gets perfect, but you can learn how to ebb and flow with the storms of life versus feel completely like you're drowning all the time. So I'm excited to talk with her and ask her today about a few things. One, it is crucial to be able to refocus your mind after you've been through abuse. And I'm curious, there's a lot of people that maybe just think that they can do this without therapy or help of a therapist. What happens if you don't refocus your mind and get help in doing that?
So one of the things that I think it's really important to understand when we've had a traumatic experience like abuse, which abuse is a traumatic experience, it really jacks up our self-concept and what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about God a lot of times. It really turns us upside down in a million different ways. And so our thinking kind of becomes a little not as helpful, right? And we kind of, a lot of trauma survivors I know go from zero to catastrophe like super fast. I call it the zero to homeless under a bridge mentality, where because we are either on high alert because of hypervigilance, because of the trauma that we've been through, or because we believe things that have been spoken over us, we tend to take our thoughts in these different patterns that aren't helpful, and they don't help us move toward healing. And so we want to move toward healing. God has said that he comes to heal the broken things, that he will restore the years the locusts have eaten, that he will restore us and bring beauty from ashes. And, having our minds and our thoughts refocused and moving toward truth really helps us go in that direction, right? If we think of our cognitive pieces, our thinking pieces, as the engine of our train, like the engine's going to pull you where you're going. And so we want the engine taking us to beautiful fields and those, still valleys, and not back at the gates of hell,
Yes, I love that. That's so true. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm curious, what does the process of grounding ourselves and refocusing our minds look like?
So it's different for different people. And it also takes practice. So I'm just going to say that. We're going to talk a ton about this at the retreat. And I'm actually going to do my session on this aspect will be very experiential. So we're going to do the things that we talk about doing. You're going to walk out of there with tools. So I hope you're coming to the retreat because it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
I know you are, Lauren, but hopefully everybody watching is also.
Yes, I'm
But
agreeing with you. I hope everybody
yeah,
watching is coming.
so I think it's the progress, not perfection, is really important to remember, first of all, because when we are coming out of a really difficult situation, we tend to hurt on ourselves, and 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 that's not where we want to be, right? That doesn't help us ground ourselves. That just makes us more agitated. When we're working toward grounding skills, and what grounding means, I think I want to define that, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
It really just means settling in and being
Mhm.
aware of your space and place. So I think we hear grounding and it can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So I just want to define how I'm using it here. And that's just
Mhm.
being settled in the space or place that we're in, and knowing where we're at and knowing what's happening in us and around us. So being able to do that and being able to settle in can help us check in, can help us
Mhm.
shift things if we need to shift something. It can help us refocus so our thoughts aren't just taking us wherever they want to take us, right? They can,
Right.
it's going to help us be in this present moment in a way that we can recognize our ability to change something. I like to tell people that the only power that we have is this present moment. So we can't change the past, that's already happened, and we can't change the future because we're not there yet. But in this present moment is when
Mhm.
we have the power to do something about what we're, what we're feeling, what we're thinking, and to shift again. So when we're grounding, so the question is, what does it look like? What does the process look like? And it really is different for different people. What's grounding to me might not be grounding to you, right? So I know for me, I do a lot of breathing, a lot of paced breathing and breathing patterns that I know help ground me. And I've practiced it so much. I was telling a client this the other day as we were working on some resources, that I can start the breathing and my brain at this point, because I've done it so many times,
Mhm.
knows what to do. So all I have to do is take that first in breath. And my brain's like, oh, this is how we relax. This is what we're doing. We're going to center in. And it starts the process without me even having to do more than just breathe in. So for me, that works really well. For other
Mhm.
people, they need to use other pieces of our five senses, one of the other senses, to really kind of focus in and ground. So the process is going to be different. And I love to teach tools to
Mhm.
people that they can use, right? So like if I'm making a toolkit with a client, we're going to use a million different things to put that toolkit together so that they can pull out what works for them. So we might try something and they're like, that did not work for me and I hated it. And I'm like, well, then let's not do that again, right? We don't have to do that one.
Yeah.
Let's try another one. And eventually we kind of have their toolkit dialed in a little bit where they
Mhm.
have a lot of different options. So if they're like, man, I need a screwdriver for this task, they have a screwdriver. If they need a power drill for a task, they have a power drill. If they need like a fan, they have a fan. And so we put together what I call 911 cards. So when it's all
Mhm.
very activated, they don't even have to remember what's going on, like what they need, what their tools are. They just pull out the card and they're like, oh, I can start walking right down this and practice these things that'll help me settle in and help me regulate myself so that I can get a hold of my thinking and make some choices in that space in this present moment, because I'm actually present for the present moment.
Mhm. Yes, I love that. I so appreciate that. I know for me, something you've heard is deep breathing has always been one of those things that's very, very helpful for me. Taking in that deep breath, breathing, and it just becomes natural. It really does when
Mhm.
you're in stressful situations because it's what your body's used to. So I'm excited for somebody saying they're excited to gain some of these tools in the comments, and I'm excited for you to come too and hear from Tabitha and gain from her wisdom and experience on what works best for you in your situation and being able to ground yourself. And as you're a single mom, this is also very important too, because you have
Yeah.
to be able to ground yourself very quickly because otherwise
Mhm.
it just yes. And so I have appreciate some of the advice that you've shared with me always too, is be able to ground myself in that in those instances too of like, what do you do when everything's you're overwhelmed and your child's overwhelmed at one time and it's all there? And that's what you help people do is kind of work in their personal lives and figure that out for themselves. So I'm excited for everybody to
Absolutely.
and get this.
Yeah. And when we're connecting, and I just want to say this because sometimes, again, we are our own worst critics, right? And when we're coming out of a situation where we have been like minimized as human beings and we're coming out of those abusive spaces, or even if we're still in them, we don't know who we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're used to being disconnected very often from our body because it's not safe to check in. So as we're doing some of these things, and if they're really hard, if you're like, man, like just breathing, like taking a deep breath can really make me feel anxious, that is okay and normal. Like, I just want to put that out there because sometimes people think, then, gosh, I'm failing. I'm never going to get well, right? There's those thoughts, right? I'm never going to feel better. It's never going to be different. And that's not truth. God is in the business of making it different. Like, that is why he died for us. So that's important to note right there. And he has the power to do it. And the Holy Spirit living in you has the power to do it. So first of all, we're not doing this by ourselves. And secondly, if we've never really checked in with our body before, it can be a little freaky. I love to tell this story because it's my own story, for one thing. And also, like, it just illustrates that this can be hard no matter who you are. So years ago, I was learning body scanning skills, and we were checking in with different parts of our body. And I was like, oh, there's my head and there's my ear, and, going through the different parts of the body. When we got to our feet, I couldn't find my feet. I was like, now notice the bottoms of your feet. And I was like, where did my feet go? And I got a little nervous because, like, I'm clearly sure that I have feet. Like, I can see them. Like, I opened up my eyes and I'm like, yep, it's still there. And I literally couldn't find it. And I freaked out so hard. Y'all, I'm a therapist. And I was like, oh no, where'd my feet go? And it took weeks of practice for me to find the bottoms of my feet. And the anxiety, I had to check in. I'm like, man, where's all this anxiety coming from? I realized I was shitting on myself. I should be able to do this.
Yes.
But the fact was I couldn't. And so as I kind of kept at it and built that neural pathway, learned to surf the anxiety of not noticing where my feet were, and all of that, I was able to connect with that part of my body. So if you try any of these tools and they are scary or they dysregulate you, which means you get all the feels and you kind of freak out a little bit, that's okay, right? Sometimes we can work through that in therapy because there's something going on with what you're believing or an experience that you've had or a trauma experience, and we need to work through that so that you can feel comfortable checking in. So if you're at the retreat and you're like, man, this is really tough, or I'm noticing a lot of feels, that's okay. Like, I just want to set that out there right now. Like, that is okay. You don't have to do anything that isn't working for you in this moment. Try another skill, right? Try something else. We're going to have amazing speakers there that know tons of things. So if you get to my session and you're like, man, that some part of this didn't work for me, like, I am sure that Darby is going to have amazing things. And, all of the people are going to be that are there are going to have these amazing tools for you. So make your toolkit, make all your own toolkits, write stuff down, try different things, and while I'll be wandering around, I know I will be there. A lot of my team is going to be there. Check in with one of us.
Yes.
Like, we can help you in that moment. Like, try a skill. We can give you some feedback on a skill.
Wow, that's going to be so awesome for everybody there. And especially as you're mentioning, when we're at the retreat, it does bring out a lot of things when you hear different truths or different things shared. It makes you feel off and something inside of you is triggered. And so I'm so grateful that you'll be there. You do not want to miss our session about grounding tools and something that you've always shared with me. It's okay to feel that thing. Just press into it a little bit. Let yourself feel it. Let yourself cry, but don't get overwhelmed. And do something good for yourself. Maybe take a walk in the Blue Ridge Mountains or get outside and just feel the leaves crunch and everything. And that's part of the tools. And it's you've processed and you move forward and you're like, wow, the next day I feel lighter and better because I actually let myself process and then I got myself back and then I can process again. So I'm very grateful for you and your ability to help people process through things. I'm excited for other people to connect with you as well. And so what else would you like to share with us about your session that you'll be giving at the Women's Retreat? Like, what do you really hope that people walk away with when they come in your session?
There are two things I hope people walk away with: a skill they can use, or at least they can file away if they can't use it in the moment, and also how deeply loved they are by God. Who we are gets so messed up in abuse that we can forget that we are lovable, that God adores us. And I hope that something I say in those spaces, in that place, helps people remember whose we are and how fiercely loved we are. And that's when we don't feel super lovable inside because of messages that we have been receiving or experiences that we've had. We really need to experience ourselves in a different way. And that's something I've had to learn in my own life, right? Like, I'm a trauma survivor, and I've had to learn to experience myself differently, and myself differently before the Lord. And that is something, like, and again, progress, not perfection. We're all works in progress. So if you are in the retreat, if you take something little and it's a seed that God plants, it can grow into an amazing fruit in your life, an amazing joy, an amazing healing. And I hope that my session plants those seeds, that you are so fiercely loved by our Creator, that you feel it in your body, in your soul, in your mind.
That's beautiful. Let that just sink into everybody listening. And wow, I'm excited for that. And that is our goal at the retreat, is that you walk away with all things new, a new refresher of and a new connection with Him, and a new hope for the purpose that He has for you in the future. He's not done with you yet.
Nope.
So we are excited. And signups are still going on. So our registration ends March 21st. So that is not this coming Monday, but next Monday. So you have a little over a week to sign up. So if you've not signed up yet, please do. And if you need a scholarship, we still have scholarships available. We had so many generous donors during our retreat that we actually raised more than 120 scholarships. We have enough for 127. So if you need a scholarship and you're here in Tabitha today and you're like, you know what, I need tools, I need to be encouraged in God's love, please come. Do not let finances hinder you as far as getting there. Or attending, we will provide a scholarship for you. So reach out to us, and I will drop a link in the comments below with to register to our retreat, or you can check any of our posts. The past couple days all had the link to our retreat. So we are excited to have Tabitha and her team there, and I'm looking forward to meeting your team as well. And that's exciting that you have a child's therapist. Will she be there as well at the retreat?
She will not be at the retreat, but she does practice in Wake Forest. So
okay,
if there are kiddos that need some support, then we are able to accommodate that.
Wow, that is really good to know. And I'll drop a link for Tabitha as well. So if you want to contact her, she has a website, The Journey in the Process. And so I'll link that here so you can reach out to her and get connected.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It was great talking with
pleasure.
you. And I look forward to seeing you at the retreat. And I hopefully everybody watching, we get to see you there as well. So.
Yes, absolutely. Please come. If you're on the fence, jump right on off into the registration link. and please come. Don't let, if you're like, man, this is on my heart, I really want to do it, I could find the time and an ability, like, do it. Like, in the Nike slogan, just do it. Don't overthink it. Just come.
Yes, please just do it. And sometimes just don't let anxiety get in the way of, oh my gosh, what will happen? And that's very normal when you've been through trauma, to be afraid of the unknown, of going to a new place and what you could experience. But don't let that hold you back. Trust me, you will wake up the next day after your first session there, be like, wow, I feel so much better to have connected and be fed with truth and worship and loved on. So we're excited.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the comments too. Somebody says they're glad you guys do what you do. So somebody left that in the comments. Thank you.
That's awesome. We love doing it.
Yes. Well, thank you guys. And I hope all of y'all have a good day, whatever y'all are planning this afternoon, and you keep warm. It sounds like most people are in very cold places right now.
Yep.
All right. Y'all have a good day. We'll talk to you later. Bye.